are a chosen few who are willing to chase glory on the world stage. For it is the ring where truth lies. You must risk being a fool before you are able to become the master. Are you willing to show the world your weakness, your vulnerabilities, but most importantly, what's hidden behind your ego, your true self? There are men amongst boys and God amongst men, but only the chosen few become immortals. And that's what Roy Jones Jr. was pursuing when he went up 25 pounds north of light heavyweight, jumping up 2 weight classes in order to challenge the WBA heavyweight world champion, the quiet man, John Ruiz. The matchup was David versus Goliath. It was clear that Ruiz was going to outweigh Jones coming into the fight. Roy Jones came into the fight at 193 pounds, while the quiet man, John Ruiz, weighed 226 pounds, fight night, a 33-pound difference. Strategy was simple. Being a smaller man, his advantages would be his speed. He would have to outbox the bigger man and deter him from getting on the inside, as that's where the distance favors the bigger man. The early rounds were most critical, as the bigger man would try to establish his dominance. Right out of the gate, Ruiz would pressure Jones by pushing him against the ropes and pound him to the body. Jones early on had to show Ruiz that he was capable of fighting off his back foot. Ruiz didn't fight tall, as he would jab with his head low. Jones took advantage of this by landing a perfectly timed uppercut off of Ruiz's jab. Jones had to show the threat of counters, whether it landed or not. Jones then had to show Ruiz he wasn't scared to engage, by showing his willingness to exchange.
Huge weakness in his arsenal if he doesn't use the jab.
No, I think it's in.
Then the second Ruiz started to hesitate, that's when the Cobra struck back.
Little guy.
It was important for Jones to show Ruiz his chin was more than capable of handling his punches. And although he may not have possessed the knockout power heavyweight, what he did have was the type of power to keep the quiet man honest.
Just a little bit. Jones comes back.
In return, and they're fighting in the center of the ring. Big right hand by Jones.
Ruiz was reminded early on that Jones was looking to counter over his jab. Now that the dust had settled a bit, it was time for Jones to establish his jab, as well as change levels. Jones, being the smaller man, chose to stand in front of Ruiz. The point of attack was simple: beat the bigger man to the punch. And when he got agitated and charged in, simply pull back with the quicker feet and charge him for the toe. By giving different looks at the jab, it kept Ruiz guessing. He didn't know if Jones was trying to engage or lure him in with the trap. Not all punches have to land. Sometimes it's more important to establish the threat. Jones continued to mix up his openings with different leads so that his punch selection wasn't so predictable. The payoff is when he got Ruiz to bite on a jab, to then land his right cross.
Well, something good to happen,
And he catches.
Ruiz found it hard to engage, as Jones was faster off his back foot than he was going forward. The second Jones' back hit the rope, he quickly angled out to avoid getting stuck. It's easy to say that all Ruiz had to do was bum rush Roy Jones and press him against the ropes, but it's a different story when you're taking short uppercuts from the challenger once you think you finally have him cornered. The head movement from Jones had Ruiz even more befuddled, and the sharp punches from Jones continued to land. Jones' blinding speed even had Ruiz on wobbly legs.
He's stunned him. He's stunned him.
Watch Jones's punches. He hits him with a clean right hand. Stunned. Ruiz.
That's all you want to do if you're the smaller guy. Stun the big man, make him quit.
Ruiz was pretty one-dimensional in terms of engagement. He most often opened with the jab. Being that Jones had the hand speed advantage, he constantly countered over the jab with the sharp hook. The left hook was methodical, as it allowed him to roll just in case the right hand came from Ruiz. as Jones knew Ruiz was too slow to follow up with another punch after the lead jab.
Ruiz, and things can change. 2 minutes goes by without doing a thing.
And they stay.
O'Neal.
Ruiz spent the duration of the fight trying to pin Jones against the ropes to take away his mobility, but Jones already had prepared in terms of situational awareness. Each time his back was pressed against the ropes, the solution was fairly simple. At times, he chose to fight off the ropes. Others, he used a more intelligent solution, which was simply to clinch. By taking an inside hook and pulling onto Ruiz's neck, this prevented Ruiz from a solid target, as well as having a steady foundation in order to generate any real power shots. Jones also hooked onto Ruiz's power arm. This way, his only free arm to swing was his left, and all leverage was taken away as well. Jones also showed himself to be a wizard. One of the more impressive feats was his small movements on the inside, the way he rolled with the punches. Every time Ruiz threw heavy shots, Jones simply rolled in the same direction, denying the impact of the punch to land. Think of trying to punch a target grease down. Being that it's so slippery, the punch would never land clean. And when Jones wanted to change things up just so he wasn't so one-dimensional, he simply used his legs to angle away from the ropes in order to create more distance between the two.
Hard body shot by Ruiz. Jones pounds his...
Although the bigger man, Ruiz, showed how limited he was in terms of offense, as he was more of the jab, jab, clinch, then show the right hand type of fighter, was clearly overwhelmed by the vast amount of weaponry Jones had in his arsenal. Jones was incredibly creative in the way he opened up in terms of engagement. He had Ruiz confused all night, being that he constantly mixed up his lead shots. Once Jones was able to deter Ruiz from freely engaging, his speed was just too much. Jones was able to close the gap quicker than Ruiz was ever able to respond.
Watching the smaller man outwit and out-hit.
Earlier, Bob Foster said he couldn't hurt those heavyweights because he was trying to get a knockout. Jones does not look for knockout.
Often in the light heavyweight division against outclassed opponents, he's gone 12 rounds, and Jones gets away.
2 feet from the rope, Ruiz.
Right hand by Jones.
Make for himself to give him a chance as a...
You know...